Welcome to the Sky Podcast.
But yeah, for me, there was a lot more normalcy because we didn't have there were no Instagram online social
Right.
platforms. So like everyone was just going to school and like living their normal lives. And everyone I went to school with didn't really watch local networks or local channels because a lot of my classmates were like kids of expats and like foreign kids. So they didn't really understand local Tagalog networks. So they they weren't aware of what I was doing after school. So I had that break where like okay, on weekends I'm working and pero syempre when you're that young also it's not like trabaho talaga na 9 to 5, 'di ba? You just go or like you'll parang fun lang siya and then you go back to school. Parang extracurricular activity lang siya. Yeah, but one thing my parents always made me promise to them, well, I think it was mostly my mom, was that I would be able to do entertainment as long as I would finish a degree. So that was the deal, which is why I stopped and I went to university abroad, which I feel like also is one of the best decisions I've ever made. But that's just a whole nother story altogether, right? And you also studied in Paris, right?
Yeah, but I think that was just a semester abroad, so it's nothing compared to like everything that you went through when you were in the States.
Yeah.
And I would like you to tell like Slater and our audience about that because that was such a crazy experience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, where do I even begin? Well, I obviously had a very public falling out with my mother. And so I kind of had to fend for myself in the US and abroad. Syempre, my mom was a single mom, so she was definitely financially supporting me through school. But then when that disappeared, then of course you're on your own in a foreign country and you have to fend for yourself. So I was, and Chris knows this already, I was like, sleeping on a bunch of friends' couches and like staying where I can. And I had 3 jobs. I would work 3 jobs. I was like a tutor. I was a student caller on campus. Ako yung mga taong hate nyo, yung tatawag sa alumni, yung, hey, this is a student representative from council. Like, would you like to donate to the university? That was me. Pero in fairness sa akin, I was one of the top sellers. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Wow.
Lagi ko na may meet yung quota. But it was also driven by the fact that I was so broke. Like, I had no money, and so I had to hit those quotas and I had to hit those bonuses because otherwise, if I don't have money, then you don't eat. Like, that's just life. There's no like, you don't go home to your family and no one's gonna cook for you. You're staying in the
Right.
dorms. So, and there was a time where I only had probably $2 in my bank account. And I remember this so distinctly.
Wow.
I was trying to withdraw from my bank account and it said I couldn't because I only had $2 in my account. And I still had to pay for like rent and I had nothing to eat for groceries and stuff. So I was like, oh my God, paano ako kakain? Like, what am I gonna do? So actually, I don't know if I should be proud of this or embarrassed. I don't know if I should be sharing this story. But I used to sneak into the business school of our campus, and there was an MBA program there. And in the MBA of my school, they would always serve cold cuts, fruits, like there was a coffee jug, a water jug. Like there was always some sort of like grazing table for the MBA students. And
Wow.
and then they just always had it out. And no one was like guarding the table or like checking, right? So I used to go in and pretend to be an MBA student just so I could eat the food. And then I would sit
I
in the
want to
class.
hug you.
I know, but also like, girl, para-paraan because otherwise you'll
Yeah.
starve, right?
Right.
So I would sit in the class and I would just eat the food and then just pretend like, okay, I'm taking notes, whatever. Like, I have nowhere else better to be anyway. At least I'm eating and I'm learning. And what happened from that was one of the MBA teachers saw me and he noticed that I wasn't registered in his class. But then he was just like, are you just sitting in on my class? And I was like, oh yeah. And so he checked my record, he checked my grades, and then actually he invited me and he registered me into the class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's so cool. You never told me that.
Yeah, I was like kind of smart, like whatever. Yeah, so I was taking an MBA course in my undergraduate years, and he had offered me to like get on a what is it, like a student grant or like parang something like that, like
Like a scholarship.
No, not a scholarship, like a grant you get from the government stuff. To be able to take the MBA program, but I was like, di ko na afford. So I was just like, thank you so much. But I did finish his class.
If you guys want to hear the full episode, you can.
Check us out on Spotify.
Spotify.
It's free, guys. It's free.
See you there.
Podcast.
Podcast.